we're going to talk about more than 7 wide receivers that are not priced anywhere near the top 12 this year in rankings, but could easily finish top 12 by the end of the fantasy season, therefore winning you your fantasy leagues. Starting off with a rookie. No surprise, I love me some rookies on this channel, but that is Thaddeus McMillan, okay? Out of Arizona, was just drafted to this team top 10 to the Carolina Panthers. Look, he is instantly, unquestioned, undoubtedly the wide receiver 1 alpha on this team from day one. It's not even close. I mean, he is competing with Xavier Legette, who didn't do much last year. I know he was injured, but Adam Thielen is old enough to be all of our grandfathers at this point. And even in their first preseason action with the starters, McMillan started for Carolina, and he played every snap on the Panthers' first 2 drives. In fact, in the first 2 drives, not only did he have a 100% snap rate, 13 out of 13 snaps, he had a 100% route rate, 7 out of 7, and a 50% target share. He had 3 out of the 6 targets from Bryce Young in their first 2 drives. In 2 drives, this man had 6 targets. If you were looking for any confirmation that McMillan is alpha status for this team, you got it in their first preseason game. And they're only going to keep showing you that as the preseason continues to go on. So hopefully your drafts are soon so you can get this guy at a discount, because he could win you your league. And he's shown at Arizona for 3 years that he can produce at an elite level. Guys, as a freshman, a true freshman, he had 700 yards and 8 touchdowns. It's like Brock Bowers type of crazy stuff at the wide receivers position compared to tight end, right? And as a sophomore, 1,400 yards and 10 touchdowns. As a junior, 1,308. He had back-to-back years to finish his collegiate career with over 107 receiving yards per game. He should be Bryce Young's new BFF. And there have been 8 wide receivers drafted top 10 in the NFL draft since 2020. The only wide receivers in this list who haven't finished top 24 in a season on points per game: Rome Odunze, Marvin Harrison, and those were guys who were rookies last year. I mean, Tet McMillan, man, the upside is ridiculous, and my goodness, they need him to step up. Look at the wide receivers in this team last year. Last year, their top wide receiver was old man Adam Thielen with 615 receiving yards. Adam Thielen, with 615 receiving yards, ranked 63rd in the NFL in receiving yards. From purely like an opportunity perspective, and I'm not comparing them as talents, if any rookie wide receiver this year is Malik Neighbors, from an opportunity perspective, it is Thaddeus McMillan. All right, so put some damn respect on the kid's name and start. If you got to draft him in round 4, do it. Who cares? Okay. This is one of the best values in the draft, and I do actually think top 15/12 is realistic. Stephon Diggs. I know that sounds absolutely insane, but just give me a second here. How many clear-cut wide receiver 1s can you get this late in your fantasy drafts? There's genuinely zero doubt in my mind that we're going to see Stephon Diggs lead this team in targets in 2025. His competition is Demario Pop Douglas, who has had a great drum beat throughout camp. He should be a late round stash for you guys. But Mac Hollins, Kayshon Boutte, rookie Kyle Williams, who I really, really love as well. But last year, the leading receiver on this Patriots team wasn't even a wide receiver. It was Hunter Henry, their tight end, who led the way with 674 receiving yards. The top 3 receivers in receiving yards were Demario Douglas, Boutte, and Kendrick Bourne. And here's where those guys ranked amongst the league in receiving yards: 49th, 56th, and 99th. And don't forget how effective Stephon Diggs was as an underneath kind of middle of the field option last year in 2024 before his injury. And remember, this was on a team in Houston that had 3 wide receivers that were drafted before round 4. Remember, it was Nico, Tank Dell, and Diggs. And all those guys were drafted before round 4. In the first 8 weeks, he ranked 14th in targets per game, 6th in receptions, 5th in reception percentage because of those, easy, quick opportunities he got, and 8th in fantasy points at 15.2 points per game. Look, I understand the injury. I understand the concern, but he's already priced at such a reasonable point. And throughout the entire offseason, he has been ahead of this injury. July 19th, he avoided the PUP list. Great. Because other wide receivers who have more complicated injuries, like Brandon Ayuk, did not avoid the PUP list. July 22nd, he is cleared for full participation. August 1st, from Evan Lazar, who's a New England beat reporter, he went on to say that it's not hard to get excited about how Diggs looks in practice. He goes on to say he's a cut above all the receivers due to his separation quickness, efficient movements, and ability to win at the catch point with those magnet hands. This man has completely aced the offseason from an injury rehab point of view, and he has a chance to be one of the best values in 2025. If any veteran this year is Chris Godwin from last year, I think Diggs has a great chance to do so. All right, the next wide receiver that I think could shock the world, and I'm very bullish on this player, that is Travis Hunter. No, this is not a joke, okay? And if anyone in your league says, why did you draft a cornerback? And they start laughing at you, I want you to draft Travis Hunter and laugh at them all the way to the bank this fantasy season, okay? Okay, think about this. In case you needed a reminder, last year, as a wide receiver in collegiate football, Travis Hunter, 6th in PFF grade amongst receivers, 2nd in receptions, 4th in receiving yards, 6th in reception percentage, and had a contested catch rate of 64.7%, catching 11 out of 17 contested catches. This man has the best ball skills I've ever scouted of any player in college football. He was 8th in missed tackles force. Oh, and by the way, he won the Heisman. Okay? Can he play both ways? Well, if anyone can, it's Travis Hunter. Last year, through 13 weeks, he had 1,300 total snaps. And by the way, a lot of those games played in Colorado with the elevation. In that same span, McMillan had less than 700. You had Luther Burden with less than 530. If you look at average offensive snaps per game in that span, Travis Hunter's at 118.3. McMillan's almost half those snaps. So the great news is we don't have to really worry about the defensive side as much this year. Yes, he will play on defense, but every chance Liam Cohen has gotten, he's talked about Travis Hunter as an offensive weapon, as a true threat in the offensive game. After the draft, he talked about how they're going to start him at wide receiver and get him kind of, adjusted there. In press conferences since the draft, they talk about how impressive he is as a wide receiver. On the Rich Eisen show, he says he's going to play 80% of the offensive snaps. And then those words were backed by real action in the first preseason game for the Jags. Travis Hunter played 11 out of 12 snaps, 92% snap rate. Ran a route on 88% of the opportunities, 7 out of 8 with the first team, and had a 28.6% target share. If he has a 29% target share his rookie season, you are under drafting Travis Hunter. I promise you. My pro comps for him, ceiling, which is unrealistic, CeeDee Lamb. I think what he does after the catch is way under discussed, but he's a better catcher of the football than even CeeDee Lamb is. So a more realistic comp, your Calvin Ridleys, your Devonta Smiths. I think he is a special player that is not being discussed enough because he's a cornerback. Technically, he's playing both ways. But same as Ted McMillan, he's in special company historically. If you look at wide receivers in the last 2 decades, 20 years, that have been drafted top 2 in the NFL draft, there's only 2 names, Travis Hunter and then in 2007, Calvin Johnson. If this man was only a wide receiver, if we're not even talking about cornerback and people were worried about that, he would be a 2nd-round pick in your fantasy drafts. And by the way, Liam Cohen has showed us he has more than enough of our trust to start his wide receivers. Last year, Chris Godwin was wide receiver 2 on a points per game basis. Mike Evans, a wide receiver 10 on a points per game basis. And Jalen McMillan was a wide receiver 8 from week 14 to 18 when Chris Godwin went down with that injury. And the question on Travis Hunter is, do you play for 4th place or 1st place? Because if you're like me and broke money don't make none, then you're going to draft Travis Hunter and believe in the upside of a Travis Hunter. All right.
So right after I recorded this video, Josh Downs went down with a hamstring injury. We're going to monitor this. Hopefully he falls a couple rounds in ADP. But take this next take as a point per game season, all right? I think you could finish top 12 on points per game, and let's find out why.
All right. This next one might be a shock to you guys, but I think this is realistically possible. That is Mr. Joshua Downs. All right. Let's all get on the same page. Yes, Anthony Richardson is not good. In fact, if anybody needed a reminder of how bad Josh Downs' quarterback play was last year, specifically Anthony Richardson, let's dive into it, okay? Last year, out of 39 quarterbacks with 250 dropbacks, Anthony Richardson ranked 35th in PFF grade. Dead last in completion percentage with 47.7%. Second to dead last was Rattler at 57%. So he was almost 10% worse from a completion percentage perspective. NFL rating, bottom of the NFL. One area he was very top of the NFL was turnover-worthy play percentage. He was 3rd highest in that category. But here's the thing. Even worst case scenario this year, which is what he had last year with Anthony Richardson, even last year, Josh Downs, despite the bad quarterback play, set career highs in targets, receptions, receiving yards, receiving touchdowns, points per game. And by the way, he did that playing 3 less games than he did in his rookie season. He had a 17-game pace of 130 targets, 87 receptions, almost 1,000 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns, and he was on pace to finish as a wide receiver 17. Top 12 is a possibility if he keeps ascending and the team keeps funneling targets through him. Guys, from week 3 onwards, huge sample size. He had a higher target share than Nico Collins, DJ Moore, T. Higgins, JSN, Mike Evans, Terry McLaurin, Ladd McConkey, Brock Bowers, and T. Higgins. His historical comps, by the way, suggest a really good year 3. I actually pulled up with the range of outcome tool on the Flock site. The closest year 2 wide receiver comps for Josh Downs, and this is in the last 8 years, and I asked, what did they do in year 3? Some great company he's a part of, like Keenan Allen, Drake London, Deebo Samuel. You can see how those guys improved from their year 2 to their year 3 season. And is there a new sheriff in town? Is it Daniel Jones' season? The worst case is Downs has the same quarterback he played with for all of 2024 when he set career highs. The best case scenario is Downs gets peppered from the slot from Daniel Jones, just like Daniel Jones did to Wan'Dale Robinson. Look at 2024 usage. Targets per game, very similar for these two guys. Slot snaps, very similar, but Downs in the slot a little bit more. But yak per reception, that's the big kicker. You'll notice when Wan'Dale Robinson gets a target, catches it, that's it. When Downs gets a target, he can do more after the catch. He is more efficient. He's a superior player. And in 6 games last year without Richardson, we saw some exciting upside for Josh Downs. On the left side of your screen, this is with Anthony Richardson. 12 points per game, 3.75 targets per game. On the right side, without Anthony Richardson, 6 games, 14.4 points per game, 7 targets per game. If 13 points per game last year was his floor with the worst quarterback room in the NFL, top 12 is not an insane claim that he can reach with a better quarterback room in 2025. If Anthony Richardson isn't living up to expectations, Daniel Jones is there as a safety blanket. By the way, earlier you saw the range of outcome tool. That is one of the tools that you can get on the Flock Fantasy site with a 2025 season pass. Only $34 when you use a promo code LAND. That ends up being about $1.70 per week. For the rest of the season, you get access to my rankings, season-long rankings, and rest of season rankings, all the tools on the Flock site, 4 vouchers where you can come on our live streams and ask me questions about your fantasy team, access to 4 of the best draft guides in the industry, and the ability to enter land community real drafts that we show on our live stream. So check out the link in the pinned comment. All right, another receiver we need to talk about here. How about Mr. Calvin Ridley? There's a couple things to consider for Calvin Ridley in 2024. Don't forget last year, he did have a bad year. We do have to talk about that. 11.7 points per game. That's bad. It was a career low. But there's context, and the context is his quarterback play was incredibly bad. I mean, like, if Josh Downs didn't have the worst quarterback play, then definitely Calvin Ridley did, because he had 12 games where he had to play with mayonnaise boy Will Levis. Here's where Will Levis stood out of 39 quarterbacks last year with 250 dropbacks, 38th in PFF grade, 30th in completion percentage, top of the charts in turnover worthy play percentage, top in pressure to sack ratio. So he's not extending plays, he's constantly killing drives, and he had one of the worst NFL ratings. And then he had to play 8 games with Mason Rudolph, who wasn't any better in pretty much any of those categories. Now, he's got a new rookie quarterback in Cam Ward. We don't know if he's great, but we know he's not Will Levis. He was the number 1 PFF graded quarterback in college football last year. And just last year, we saw a veteran wide receiver get a rookie quarterback and take off for fantasy football. That was Terry McLaurin, who finished as a wide receiver 7 in fantasy last year, a career high. And there is virtually no competition for Calvin Ridley in Tennessee. Tyler Lockett is closer to retiring than he is to being a relevant producer. Treylon Burks was cut. Alec A. Manor is a rookie. Who else do they have on this team? Van Jefferson. I mean, come on, guys. The best news, even beyond that, is even though there's no competition this year, they lost competition from last year. I mean, they are 10th in total vacated targets with 156, 9th in vacated target percentage, 5th in targets vacated to the wide receiver position, 8th in air yards vacated, and 4th in vacated targets specifically inside the 10-yard line. So that money zone, there's very little risk with a Calvin Ridley. I mean, I just drafted him in a best ball draft in the 7th round as my wide receiver 4. Look at that team. I've got very little risk with the Calvin Ridley. He can fill in until Rashee Rice is back. I'm drafting over on FastDraft, by the way, on the Rabbit Tournament, 15-round, 1 quarterback start, 8 tournament, $10 entry, $50,000 prize pool. You can use the promo code LAND. We'll match your deposit up to $50, and then you'll get my cheat sheet to go draft in your home leagues with my rankings, or you can at least reference them. And you'll get your deposit match up to $50, right? So a couple free drafts there as well. And by the way, these best ball tournaments, they're not replacing your home league. They're just practice for your home league. If you love drafting, there's no commitment in season. You draft your team, you let it ride. It's a lot of fun if you love doing mock drafts. It's basically like a mock draft, but with actual pressure on it. So I wanted to finish with some honorable mentions. All right, these are the other guys. Now, some of them I didn't want to use because I've used in other videos, but some of them I did want to use because I think top 12 might be unrealistic. But Roma Dunze's in there. I think he could be a legit breakout. I think top 12 is realistic. But here's some other names like Deebo Samuel. I love him at his ADP, but top 12 is going to be pushing it. Matthew Golden. I think he could be the wide receiver one for Green Bay from day one. George Pickens in Dallas with the type of passing that they do there, the volume they have in Dallas. DK Metcalf as the number one for Aaron Rodgers. And Jerry Jeudy is incredibly undervalued as well in ADP this year. So I love all these wide receivers. These guys could shock the world this year. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do me a favor, hit the like button to show some love. Subscribe only if you found any value in this video. And let me know when your drafts are. I want you guys to go out and kill your drafts. Check out the pinned comment if you want the season pass. And I'll see you in the next video. Nothing but love. Draft with me every night this offseason on the FastDraft app, where there are over $250,000 in prizes waiting to be won. Getting started is easy. Download the FastDraft app, use the promo code LAND at signup to get your deposit match up to $50. That is 10 free drafts on us. And when you finish your first real money contest, I'll send you my 2025 rookie report and season rankings completely free. Check out the link in the pinned comment to start drafting today.